Hey there, today we're going to be talking about your ex's 5 emotional stages that they go through in getting back together with you. This is going to be incredibly important if you want to get back together with your ex without using mind games, without playing hard to get, without using the no contact rule, all that sort of stuff. You have to understand their emotional level if this is going to work. So let's go ahead and get into this. Hey there, it's Clay with modernlove.life. So let's go ahead and get started. These are the 5 emotional stages that your ex goes through. Your ex is not just going to make some sort of spontaneous decision to get back together with you. It's going to happen because they go through this process of learning to trust you, learning to trust themselves, and learning to trust the dynamic between the two of you and that it has future together with both of you in it. So you have to understand how they're moving through this whole breakup process emotionally. And in a future video, we'll get into how to direct this whole process to unfold in your favor. But first, we need to understand what's happening with them. After a breakup happens, there are 5 emotional stages that happen. Now, after the breakup initially happens, they're probably going to end up in this middle stage. But oftentimes, because of poor choices and things that we do that push them away, like begging and pleading and things like that, they then move down into some of the lower stages. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the worst case scenario here, and then we'll start moving towards better case scenarios. But just know that, like, if your breakup just happened, like yesterday, and you haven't done anything totally crazy, they're probably in that middle stage. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. So the first stage that we're talking about is the wall of reactance. So what is this? What is reactance and all of this sort of stuff? So reactance is this emotional form of resistance that people feel when they think that someone has an ulterior motive and that they're trying to manipulate that person or steer that person or railroad that person towards their own agenda. Maybe you feel this way when you're talking to, a door-to-door salesman or a used car salesman, or perhaps somebody who's trying to get you to sign some sort of political petition for some cause or other, or perhaps, somebody who's on the side of the road begging for spare change or something like that. I'm not trying to make any of these things wrong. I understand people can be down on their luck. I understand people sometimes do need to get political support for certain initiatives, and I understand that people do need to sell vacuum cleaners. But some of these tactics that they use when asking for these sorts of things can be emotionally off-putting because we sense on a deep level that that person is after their own agenda and they're not actually interested in what you want or where you're at emotionally or things like that. And for better or worse, if your ex is at this first stage, the wall of reactance, that is how they are responding to you. And what does this mean? This means that you may experiencing them not even talking to you, giving you very terse answers like, leave me alone, go away, I've made my decision, or something like that. That's because they believe that every interaction that they're having with you is cloaked and shrouded and wrapped in this hidden agenda of trying to force them back into some sort of relationship that they don't want. What we need to do is we need to drop the romantic pressure and create the kind of circumstance where they can relax and open up and actually move closer towards us. This might take a little bit of time if things are at this very bad emotional place, but you definitely can do this with some consistency. Just know that if they're this shut down, it is likely due to either a severe amount of hurt that they've felt, before, during, or after the breakup, or because of some, maybe well-intentioned but ill-informed choices that you had made, such as heavy amounts of begging and pleading, begging for forgiveness, grand romantic gestures, extravagant things, and things like that have caused them to slowly shut down and get to this point. But by dropping that romantic pressure and by creating an emotional connection with them, you can then get them to move from this very closed-off place to this next stage, this second stage that we call the test drive stage. So at this point, they are going to be interacting with you. There's not going to be much of an emotional connection. They're going to be interacting with you, though. So it is an improvement from the wall of reactance, though it could definitely be a step backwards from the third stage, which we'll get to shortly, called riding the dragon. So there's still a heavy amount of reactance, a heavy amount of emotional resistance towards interacting with you. But there is at least some small kernel of positive feeling that's causing them to interact with you in some way. The two of you may exchange very surface level communications about, how things went at work or what you did this weekend. This is where you might get like, hey, how was your weekend? Oh, it was great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm okay. I'm good. Stuff like that. Not much emotional depth. What's happening here is that they do feel some degree of emotional connection with you, which is why they're talking to you. It's why they're engaging with you. But there's still a lot of guarded kind of energy here. They're not really willing to open up and really be vulnerable and to share it all with you because they're still concerned about where this is going, what it is that you want. They still might think that you have some sort of ulterior motive. It's not so bad that they're completely shutting you out, but they are still very guarded. So what we want to do here is to really focus on building that emotional connection. And we want to really focus on demonstrating vulnerability and showing them that we do not have an ulterior motive here. We do not have an ulterior hidden agenda here because we want to connect with them first and foremost. We want to connect with them first and let the relationship sort itself out as we go along. This is something we've talked about many times on this channel. Hopefully this is not news to you. As we do this, we can start to pull them into a deeper emotional bond with us. We can stop talking about the surface level things, news, work, how was your weekend? What did you think of the new TV show that happened the other day? What did you think of the new movie that came out? Did you see the thing that happened about the sports team that won the whatever or lost the whatever? Instead, we can go from that to having a deeper and more meaningful emotional bond with them. And this is going to pull them from this very guarded, very closed off place emotionally, and it's going to pull them into our third stage. Now, again, remember, this third stage is where most people are probably going to initially find themselves after their breakup. They're going to initially find themselves here, but then due to, poor behavior or things like that, they may push their partner back into this either test drive or wall of reactance stage. But this third stage is what's called riding the dragon. Now, what's important here is that this stage really explains and helps you to understand why your ex is perhaps giving you hot and cold behavior, mixed messages. One day they're saying things like, I love you, I miss you so much, we should get back together again. The day after that, they're saying, oh, that was a mistake. We should just be friends. We're not compatible with one another, etc. And the cycle can often go on and on. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, sometimes this, sometimes that, and you get kind of confused in this whole process. And many times people will think, hey, they're just using me, they're just manipulating me in order to string me along, use me as a plan B or something like that. Now, I want to make it clear that's probably not the case. Of course, there's a lot of different types of people out there, and people can have all sorts of, different motives and things like that. But most likely, your ex, your partner, is just a completely normal, average, everyday kind of person. And they're just trying to go about this confusing, overwhelming thing of life, trying to get a little bit of happiness for themselves and trying to figure things out and live a harmonious kind of life. That's probably what they're like. And if they were going to manipulate you or use you or something like that, you probably would have seen some kind of behavior indicating this during your time together. It's probably not just going to spontaneously show up. If they were a good, caring, compassionate sort of person when you were together, they're probably still a good, caring, compassionate person. If they were manipulative and Machiavellian, then, hey, they might be using you right now. If they were a good, decent, open-hearted kind of person, they're probably still that way. What does that mean? That means that all of these confusing, mixed message sorts of things are probably more coming from a place of them being genuinely confused themselves. They don't know what they want. Why is this? Because we're in this middle stage here. They have probably a more or less equal amount of emotional resistance or reactance towards you, plus a more or less equal amount of positive feelings and experiences with the two of you together. And what does that mean? That means that there's going to be a little shift back and forth from day to day. The two of you might have a little bit of a disagreement, so the negative feelings start to grow. But then the two of you may have a good conversation, or they might have a positive memory or something like that comes across their awareness, and now their positive feelings start to grow and their negative feelings start to move down. And this can start to oscillate or teeter-totter back and forth many times. In fact, it's probably been going on the entire time. But because we're in this middle point here, you're going to notice it a lot more, because now suddenly 51% positive feelings versus 49% negative, or 51% negative versus 49% positive. It's going to really keep them waffling back and forth. Now, the important thing here is, again, to understand that as confusing and frustrating as this is for you, it's equally confusing and frustrating for them. They don't want to be this sort of hot mess changing their mind all the time. They don't want to be confused. They want to be able to have some sort of clear direction here. The good thing here is that, okay, yes, there are some challenges that you're experiencing that are keeping them from being all in together with you, but you do have a significant amount of emotional connection with them. So you're able to connect on that emotional level, and that's good because it's causing them to perhaps feel a little bit conflicted in their decision for breaking up. They're starting to open up. They're starting to think, hey, did I make the right choice? Maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe there were problems in our relationship, but maybe we could overcome them. And so they're kind of uncertain about this. And what is really important here is that you show up with consistency, that you keep connecting on that emotional level, that you keep nurturing the good side of this, because there's the negative emotional memory that they have of you, and then there's the positive experiences that they have when they're interacting with you, and these sorts of things can move back and forth. So what's important is that we continue to nurture and to grow those positive experiences, and we start to minimize and reduce and eliminate those negative experiences so that we can get them past this point into the next stage in this process. There's that old saying, there's two wolves fighting in the night or something. One of them is good, one of them is evil. Which one wins? What's the one that you feed, right? It's basically that whole concept in play here, but on an emotional level. And once you get past this point, they're no longer going to have this hot and cold kind of behavior anymore. They're going to be very clear that they like spending time with you. But there are still a lot of challenges to be had at this next stage, because as we get into this next stage, the fourth stage in this process, called the crisis point, they're faced with this fundamental crisis. Up until now, up until this point, through all these earlier stages, interacting with you has had some emotion to it, but it's really just been this sort of hypothetical sort of thing. Like, what would it be like if we talked? What would it be like if we, got together for coffee? What would it be like if we, talked about our day? What would it be like if I just told them everything that I felt? What would it be like if we, did this or that or whatever? There's no strings attached to it. There's no commitment. There's no follow through to it. It's just mere curiosity or speculation. But because at this fourth stage, the positive feelings have grown so much and the negative resistance or reactance has been shrunk down so much, they start to get into this kind of confused state where they are stopping seeing this as a hypothetical thing. And they're starting to say, okay, I have real feelings for you now. Getting together and spending time with you, it's not just about, well, I don't know, what would it be like if we were, talking again? And now it's like, oh, wow. I actually think I do have feelings for you. I think I kind of love you, but I'm kind of scared to take that next step because of what it means. What does it mean? Does it mean that maybe I need to end a rebound relationship? That could be messy. That could be confusing. That could be difficult. And what happens if I end that relationship and I get back together with you and it doesn't work? I'm going to look silly. I'm going to look like a hot mess. Or what if they already told everyone that they know that we're not together anymore, we broke up because of this thing that happened, and now all their friends and family don't like you anymore? They're going to have to go back to those people and say, yeah, hey, remember how I said that so-and-so was not so great? Well, guess what? I changed my mind. They're great again, and we're seeing each other, and we're back together again. They're going to have to go up against all of that stigma, all of that potential judgment, all of that challenge. And of course, there are endless other possible reasons why someone might be a little bit afraid to take that final leap to bring the two of you together. But this is a very precarious place. Nonetheless, the crisis point, because even though they know they have positive feelings for you, they're considering making this step to bring the two of you closer together. They're considering ending the rebound. They're considering telling their friends and family that you're seeing each other again. They're considering, doing whatever it might be, moving back from whatever place they moved to or whatever. I don't know. But they're afraid. They're deathly afraid that this could be a bad choice for them. They're deathly afraid that maybe they create that path for the two of you to get back together again, but they just fall flat on their face because maybe you don't want to be together with them. Maybe the problems that plagued your relationship in the first place, they're still there, or anything else. What are they going to do? They're going to look for an out. They're going to look for a reason why they don't have to make the hard, uncomfortable choice. They're going to start to say things like, you probably deserve better than me. You could get anyone else you want here. You deserve so much better. I hurt you so much. You deserve someone that's going to love you authentically and genuinely. You should just move on. Even though we have a lot in common, I'm toxic. Our relationship is toxic or something like that. And this is just them looking for an out. This is just them testing to see if you are going to say, yeah, you're right. I could be with someone else better than you. I think I'm going to go and meet that person right now. Or you're right, we are toxic. I think it makes sense for us to not be together. You're right. You really did hurt me a lot. I don't think I can ever get over it. Because if you were to say something like that, what does it mean? It means that they can take the pressure off of themselves and say, whew, thank goodness I didn't make that hard choice. Thank goodness I didn't follow my heart and do what I wanted to do because look, this person wasn't serious about me. That's why at the crisis point, you can get away with doing a lot of the things that you probably have experienced that you shouldn't do at earlier stages in this process. You can tell them that you love them. You can tell them that you care about them. You can tell them that you're committed to them. You can tell them that you're there for them, all that sort of stuff. You can get away with doing this because you have the emotional connection, because you understand that their discouragement within the context of having a good emotional connection, their discouragement is coming from a place of they are just trying to find out if they make this big move, that it's going to work out for them. That's what they're looking for. And so if you can provide that, you're going to show them that they can take that step forward and get to this fifth and final stage here. You're going to perhaps sometimes need to apply some positive pressure to make them make this choice. But you'll then, on the other side of that, get to the fifth stage here. What is the fifth stage? The fifth stage is called new beginnings. And at this new beginnings stage, they have probably the highest level of positive emotion for you and probably the lowest level of resistance or reactance towards you. Here, things are very good. Here, the two of you are basically together in a relationship again. Here, the two of you are connecting really well again. Here, there are no clear obstacles that are standing between the two of you. Yeah, there could be some, doubt, some concern, I don't know, like, what are we going to do? How do I know it's not going to be like it was before? But it's going to be pretty clear and pretty smooth. And basically, at this point in time, all you have to do is have the conversation with them about getting back together again. All you have to do is have the talk with them. Now, I would recommend that you do have this talk with them because I don't want you to just assume you're in a relationship when maybe you aren't. That's how a lot of really unfortunate things happen. So have the talk with them. But you're going to have to know how to get here and how to get to this point. And of course, it all boils down to creating a strong emotional connection. If you want to learn how to do that, check out this video right here where I show you exactly how to create this emotional connection with them, how to go through the process of building the bond, the connection, and trust. Go ahead and check it out right over here, and I'll see you over there in that video.